I accept this challenge to run the Dragon's Maze. Ooh. So, what do we have here in this nice little deck? War Leader's Helix, Trostani Summoner, Ascendant Law Mage, sweet. Dragon's Shift, not so sweet. Blood Crypt, pretty sweet. Let's see. Do I want to go all in on mayhaps some value and a 5-color deck? I mean, we have really sweet picks here. I think War Leader's Helix is just a step above the Ascendant Law Mage and Trostani Summoner. Sweet removal spell, super powerful. Yeah, I think we're just gonna go for it. I've not really enjoyed a whole lot of the 5-color decks that I've seen, so I'm gonna stay on course here. Blasted Genius, ooh, Spike Jester. I also do like. I kind of wanted to try a new strategy of trying to go Rakdos. What else is in the pack? Spike Jester is probably the best next to Blast of Genius, but this is kind of a wonky deck, and it really has to be a late game. We can always start doing the Guildgate thing this early. Because, yeah, nothing else is super powerful. I mean, Thrashing Moss Dog is really fine in green. But I think, again, I wanted to try this Rakdos strategy. I'm not going to stick to it, but I wanted to be on the lookout to see if I can get Rakdos. I just feel like Golgari and Rakdos are always so open in the Return to Ravnica pack. I want to see if I can't make that dream come true. And I'm not going to be tied to War Leader's Helix, although this is a perfectly fine splash in a Rakdos deck. So we'll take Spike Jester and move forward. Wow. Okay. So we're Boros. Not too sure. Looks like someone's moving in on the 5-color deck. Someone picked up a Guildgate or a rare card here, or a rare dual land instead of Boros Battle Shaper. Yeah, it's a 7-drop, but man, have you ever tried to play against this? If this guy gets out, you win the game, and that's what you want from a 7-drop. So that means our Spike Jester isn't going to be doing a whole lot, because I don't think you really splash for Spike Jester, but we could go Borzov as needed. We'd love to see some of these Hazda Snare squads come around. But I'm not passing up a Boros Battle Shaper when I already have a War Leader's Helix and a Viashino First Blade. Though this can really bite you in the butt if you end up not getting the aggressive deck. But let's see, what else is in the pack anyway? I mean, we have the Rakdos Drake, which I would have been okay grabbing if I was going to stick to my, my Rakdos game plan. I mean, after all, Boros Battle Shaper and War Leader's Helix are, I mean, these are still both just very white splashable cards, but having these as strong picks and getting the First Blade, if we just cut Boros, we could really see a sweet Boros deck take form after the Gate Crash pack. So we'll start there. And I mean, if the Viashino First Blade wasn't here and it was some other random comment, I probably would just take the Rakdos Drake and keep open in those 3 colors. But First Blade is just that much better, especially in the Boros deck. It's just pretty insane. So we're going that route. Let's see. Maze Rusher is not that exciting. Cross to Gorgon this late is pretty exciting. It's just kind of far from what we're doing. But again, Golgari just is always open in Return to Ravnica. Is there anything that I might be moving into in a deck that will want this? This just is not going to do anything in what we've already picked. Deputy in the event we end up going into blue later. There's really no strong pick here. I'm really sad. I don't need a Maze Rusher. I'm going to get it anyway if I want. I think I'm just going to cut the powerful card here. Not planning on actually playing it, but still just going to cut it. And in that case, I think we're going to take this Is It Guildgate. We don't have any other picks in our color. I'm not looking to go into Battering Krasis with anything I have right now. It's just fine. And I'd rather just have this, especially if we are going into trying to do a strong Boros and then we don't get it in the next pack, then we're probably going to want this to splash into some blue. Have a little bit of Is It later on. even though it doesn't work into our Spike Jester game plan. That's fine. The only other pick really is Riot Piker, and I do not like Riot Piker. I do not like having to attack if able, unless it's Rorikthar. Then I'm okay with attacking as needed. Really happy to see Boros Mastiff. Always, if I'm planning on doing my Boros deck, I want 2 Boros Mastiffs to pick up in this first pack. Whitlock Crawler is actually probably comparable to Boros Mastiff because this guy is just open into the white decks, and this is really solidifies you into a Dimir strategy. So yeah, easy pick. I don't really care much about Leo Decree, even though that does have a place in a super aggressive deck. I think here's when we'll just take our Clue Stone. The real question is, which Clue Stone do I grab? If I end up going into, like, say, a black color with a black splash, then the Orzhov Clue Stone will be best. But at this point, I think Boros Clue Stone... No, actually, you know what? Boros Clue Stone is going to be on color, right? I mean, I'm definitely going to be playing now red-white, so I'm just going to hedge on the off chance of having a fixer here. If worse comes to worse and I'm not playing black, then I will just have to have this as a ramp spell into Boros Battle Shaper. Here, we'll take up another Clue Stone. Again, we're just really just hedging bets. I don't think we're going to be splashing green at all. We'll take the Clue Stone. That does help us that if we do end up needing to go into late game black, we just have the easiest fixers as we need to have our Borzhov. So I kind of like that being set up for it versus randomly taking this and maybe have a green splash or maybe have a blue. And Maze Sentinel not really an option because I feel like it's going to get there. Well, same kind of picks here. Don't want a Maze Abomination necessarily, although this does seem like it could be a really strong pick in a really solidified Boros deck because there are so many good multicolored Boros cards, but not knowing what we have is fine. We're just going to go ahead and take our 3 different Clue Stones and have that flexibility depending on which Clue Stone we end up wanting. And that's why here we'll take Maze Abomination. Could take the other Clue Stones, which are a little bit on our Boros color, but I mean, gosh, we have 3. That's fine. If we end up wanting to have a Maze Abomination off of our Clue Stone splashes, then we're there. Don't care about any of these, so we'll just take a Clue Stone, hopefully just to kind of like cut signals and make it so that no one else has those cards. And we'll take Higher Torture if shit were to hit the fan, then we might just need to have a Borzhov playable. And Higher Torture is the Begrudging playable. So not exactly an awesome start, but this is kind of how the Dragon's Maze pack can go in terms of looking at your signals and deciding what of the guilds you want to be in. Clearly, the person to our right, or the 2 people to our right, weren't interested in being in Boros, and we weren't passing any Boros cards, which means I'm really hoping to get rewarded here. And we didn't really open anything sweet in our colors. Certainly playables. Basilica Guard isn't what I want in Boros. I'm going to take a Cinder Elemental here. It's a fine card. It's not exactly awesome. I'd rather have like a True Fire Paladin or a Wojak Halberdiers. Skimrat Goblin also really fun and hoping to have that. But Cinder Elemental is that much more powerful. And Martial Glory actually tends to will hopefully pick up on it because I would like a Martial Glory, so that'll be fine. Homing Lightning, exactly what I want. There's that other Martial Glory, probably going to get. Homing Lightning is sweet. Easy pick up here. Taking a look and seeing, you know, what's past. White is pretty good. Active Treason I would actually love to have, though. Again, probably will get one. Pretty not super powerful peck. Shamble Shark's pretty awesome. 2 drops are always good. Alright, we got our double 4 drops here. I think we'll just stay on the current game plan. There's nothing, I mean, again, we could be picking up some black cards if we wanted them, but there's really nothing powerful in black. The Gateway Shade is not what I'm looking to do. Syndicate Enforcer, who cares? Difficult Roll is probably the best card. And then the pick is just between Warmind Infantry and Basilica Guards, and since we're, again, not looking to go the more controlling route, and we're really hoping to stay on the 2 colors, we'll just take a solid 3-drop here. Try to snatch those up. Got a couple of nice removal spells in our 4-drop slots. Just really want to get that aggressive curve on right now so that we can get rid of all of our black and have just a solid fast deck with a top end that is pretty scary. Wow, and then we just strike out here. Overall, it does look like just a weak pack. I mean, the two uncommons here are pretty lame-o. Best cards here are Keymaster Rogue and Shamble Shark. I'm considering just cutting these, because we're not really looking to play them. I'm not, despite having it as a Guildgate, I'm not looking to splash a Keymaster Rogue. There's nothing super synergistic besides my little Viashino First Blade. I'm honestly just thinking about taking Shielded Passage. Not that that's exciting, but between the two drops here, they're fine. So yeah, I don't really have a strategy in this point in a pick. Where do I take a whatever, hopefully not playable card that I'm also probably going to get another one of anyway, or do I just hate draft a solid playable that someone else is really looking to get? For me, I'm just going to take it. If I have any kind of pick, I'm going to take it. So that's exactly what I wanted to see. The Wojak Halberdier is coming a little bit late. Well, maybe not late, considering this is the Dragon's Maze draft. But I was really hoping that there'd be a bunch of these kind of open, maybe get some of the flyers as well in the 3-drop slot. Devour Flesh going late too, seeing that black was pretty open, which is surprising. Greenside Watcher is also pretty late in this format, considering everyone wants their fixers and rampers. But man, happy to see that. Super duper stoked. I'm keeping Karaz de Gorgon up here at the moment, just because I know it's super powerful. Just a 2/5 Death Touch is fine. We're not going to have anything to really abuse these counters with, and we're pretty all in on this white-red plan, with a little bit less of anything else. Things like Karakanura, though, gets me excited. Gyre Sage is absolutely nutty. Wow. But we have no real fixing for it, and this is just not the colors we're in. This is sort of the drawback of the entire format. In other formats, you can start moving into these colors and start, adjusting your picks, but I feel like you are really set once you pick at least a guild in between this and like maybe one other splash and stuff, and then you're just kind of like stuck there. Not much else to do. I'm actually going to take the Pit Fight here. Not that it's great in the Boros deck, and certainly if you look at my creatures, they're all pretty low power and toughness, but I don't want to take a Nav Squad Commandos now. Could probably get that 5-drop as needed, and if I just need a removal spell, it's fine. Hey, Borborigmos. Super fun. It was really cool when you opened him up in the Gatecrash back, because you can kind of try to build a ramp deck around him, and in this format, I'd imagine he's actually pretty sweet. Can't you ramp into this guy? I have no idea. But for us, it's pretty much just this Towering Thunderfist. There is the Orderon Veteran, I guess, is an option. And at 4-drop, it's a little bit cleaner. Actually, I'll pick him because I'll probably get Towering Thunderfist. So I'll take the Veteran. Not super stoked, but could probably get some Battalion here or there triggered, which is fine. Here, again, as predicted, we're going to get the Nav Squad Commandos. Aerial Maneuver is also perfectly a fine pickup, needing some tricks in the deck, but I'd rather just have the solid creature count. Wow, Simic Guildgate table. That's pretty interesting. We're going to snap it here as a hate versus like a Minding Drake, which is pretty powerful. Mainly just because I actually think that Guildgates are more powerful than the big drops because they enable the big drops. So we're just going to hate some of that. We'll take a Gargoyle. It's playable. Nothing else is. And again, like I was saying earlier, we saw the Shielded Passage. We already have one versus the hate. So there you go. Nothing really for us. We'll take the creature over the non-splashable combat trick. Nothing to care about. Just cutting the colors a little bit. Alright, let's take a little pulse action. We're not playing Karaz de Gorgon. We don't have the fixing for it. Our black we're hoping not to play, though I'm keeping it up here to know that it exists. And this is the point where I might take a look and say, hey, let's see just how strong my white and my red are. And I'll notice that if I look at just my white, a couple good 2-drops, but I also have a good Rakdos drop. And my Viashino First Blade isn't that awesome when I'm not that aggressive. And I also have a Shade and a Torturer here. So what I'm starting to notice is that I could conceivably jump into a Rakdos deck if I were to open anything that really pushed me in that direction. Looks like no matter what, I'm taking a fairly weak pick here, be it Rakdos, Cackler, or Seller of Songbirds. I think I'm going to take the Cackler here for a couple reasons. Again, trying to be aggressive, actually. This Shadow Dancing isn't being played no matter what. And even in Boros, I think Rakdos Cackler is going to be perfectly fine. But what I'm noticing is, if I just get tons of really strong Rakdos, I don't really mind picking that up and then only splashing the War Leader's Helix and the Battle Shaper. Yeah, I'm going to be hurting for some playables. It may not work out because that cuts 2 of my 2-drops. But again, I still have the Spike Jester to replace that. We're switching out our 3s. I'm getting rid of a really lukewarm 4 and 5-drop, but guaranteeing this 6-drop. So I'm very much open to either or strategy. And the Rakdos Cackler keeps me the most open. Picking up Seller of Songbirds here means I'm kind of hedging into the 3-drop slot. And being aggressive, you want something like this. And here's exactly what I was thinking might be happening. A Hellhole Flailer, just super powerful. We're probably going to see a lot of that. The safe pick would be taking Explosive Impact, which I do want. But I think I'm starting to convince myself that we just didn't see enough of the super powerful Boros in the Gate Crash pack. So now we're going to kind of hedge our bets on getting into our Rakdos. A little bit scary because, again, we don't have any of the fixing to play it. All we have are those key runes which I hid, which that doesn't work at all in a aggressive strategy. The last thing I want to do on turn 3 is play key rune, or sorry, Cluestone. We have a bunch of Cluestones. I don't want to be playing my Hellhole Flailers, but I do think this card is that much more powerful that I take it here. And I'm super happy to see this Explosive Impact. Certainly could take the Dagger Drone Imp here, but Impact is just that much better. We'll grab it. Would be kind of insane of having 2, but alas. And having the Cluestones, which we're probably still playing 1 of just to get into our drops, does make Explosive Impact pretty okay. And we're notice there isn't any really strong white spell of any kind here. Phantom General's okay, but a 2-3 at 4 isn't awesome, especially in a format where there's tons of 2-3s at 3, and we're not doing anything with the tokens. Take Explosive Impact and be happy. Then we'll take a Launch Party and be happy. So let's clean this up into our Rakdos deck. Not that these whites aren't at all going to be played, but if you know me, I like to kind of have the nuts, or not the nuts, but the sort of basics available. Our only fixing is going to be that Boros Cluestone. So we're a little bit low on creatures. We do have a couple of removal spells with a Pit Fight and a Homing Lightning, War Leader's Helix, and Explosive Air. So we're looking good there. Even Cinder Elemental, but I still think Launch Party is that much more strong when you launch into, like, you know, a boring Cackler that's kind of been outclassed already, versus a Dagger Drum Imp. Not as big of a deal. Here we're going to take the Racketeer. Not a great card, but we do need just to round out our creatures. Kind of bummed there's no Gorehouse Chainwalkers or anything kind of floating around. Zara's Elocutors are sweet and would be a reason to have stayed in on some of the white plan, which we're still planning on doing, but just having this guy is pretty cool. But being double white in a spread out 3-color deck really isn't going to cut it. Alternatively, I could take this Golgari Guildgate and splash in that Gorgon, but I really think that this Helix and the Battle Shaper is just going to be too insane. And I didn't have the Selesnya key rune to help with that, so we'll just take a playable and try to go there. Ooh, Augur Spree going late. I was going to get another Launch Party here, but yeah, this is exactly what you see all the time in the Return to Ravnica packs. No one in Rakdos. Although you can kind of see why, you know, look at me, I don't really have a whole lot of superpower going on. Spawn of Rixmati, fine to have. We don't even have a 5-drop. We do have a 6 and a 7, and supposedly being aggressive, not having a lot of 2s and having a higher Torture is not exactly where I want to be, but I think this is kind of what you can expect when you get into Rakdos this late in the game. We'll take another Racketeer. Again, not stoked, but there's really nothing else here to grab, and I don't really care about cutting a Gatekeeper Ryan over just having, you know, a playable 3-drop that I need. Alright, Mind Rot for the sideboard, or Minotaur Aggressor, which we're probably not playing because we have our top end. But yeah, I've actually never ever sighted in my Mind Rot, despite regularly picking it up. So we will take the 7, and we'll kind of see where we end up going with our clue stones, and if we actually want to ramp into a lot. I'm happy to take another spawn here over the Dark Revenant, even though Dark Revenant is a lower drop. I just don't think Dark Revenant is that awesome. I don't always want to have this and have it being drawn every turn. I almost feel like Dark Revenant has backed me into a hole more often than it's gotten me out of a tough spot. Okay, we'll take our little vermin here. Looks like that's going to be the draft. Hey look, we even got our sideboard Mind Rot, which we are not playing. Our removal suite's pretty strong. We're not super aggressive. This might be a controlling deck. Maybe not play the Rakdos Cackler. Instead, we'll get in with our Clue Stones, have just tons of removal available for early drops, and a number of drops here just to sort of gum up the board while we get onto like our Homing Lightning or War Leader's Helix, and then have our big guys with Boros Battle Shaper taking out everything in its path. That might be the build of the deck. I'll play around with it and bring you back shortly. Okay, so here is the initial build, and I think what my instincts were telling me is probably going to be correct. So because we were trying to do Boros and it didn't happen, we had to do a game plan switch into Rakdos. We have a pretty wonky deck, but I think we can make it work. So a couple things to point out. I think I have 2 very awkward cards in my original 21. That's this Rakdos Cackler and this Hired Torturer. Just because playing these cards in the same deck means your deck is not doing what you want it to do. However, we just need playables at this point. You'll notice up here in my sideboard options, these are the white cards we have, but we didn't get any of the on-color guild gates, so we're just definitely not going to be able to play these solid white cards. It'd be super sweet to have them in here, because they really do round out a deck, but we're just not going to be reliably casting them. Instead, I am going to go with that strategy of we're going to get in some of these clue stones, and that's going to round out our playables, having 2 clue stones to help us ramp into these powerful cards up here. I'm playing both the Boros clue stones because I'm doing the Rakdos with the double white splash, and this is pretty much going to be our only fix. I'll probably add in 1 plains, taking out like a forest or something, or a mountain, even though we do have Homing Lightning, but that should get us there. So this is the deck. We don't have sideboard options in with our white, I don't feel at all. And actually, you know what? Maybe to hedge, I forgot we had the Orzhov Clue Stone. We'll do 1 of each, because why not? That just makes it a little bit more consistent and allows us to spread our mana out a little bit better. And anyway, but little side, I was saying we're not going to be looking to sideboard into any of these. The early drops, these are all just about being played on time. We're not going to be able to reliably do that. I don't care about Shielded Passage. We actually do have some pretty strong spells here as we need. The Pit Fight being something that might work with like Maze Abomination or our bigger dudes. Although if our bigger dudes are down, we're probably already getting there. But still, it's something that if I need to 2 for myself, I'll have it. And again, I don't really have any other options. I'm not playing Drainpipe Vermin or Shadow Alley Denizen. Those are even worse aggressive cards than the Rakdos Cackler. So, basically, all I'm caring about now is how am I winning this game, and knowing that the game plan on my deck with my high removal, my double clue stones, is to get into my 5 and above drops. And maybe confuse my opponent by playing a deck that looks aggressive. Luckily, we do have a number of 3s to sort of hold out against the aggressive deck, and a number of really nice removal spells that are on color. So there we go. I really wish this Rakdos Cackler was just any other kind of 2-drop, and probably the Hired Torturer too. If this is what the deck would look like, I'd feel pretty confident. Maybe even, of course, that's always the gold. Very interesting playing the Minotaur Aggressor, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Let's add some lands. Let's see what our colors are. Yeah, we're gonna want a little bit more on the red side just because of this homing lightning. I do want to keep 1 plains. I do not want a forest. Why does this have 9 mountains? Do I really need 9? And can I get away with 7? That's 8 black sources. But I'm much more tempted. I mean, 1 plains plus the 2 clue stones for late game plays. I'm fine with white. That's all we need. Do I have enough black, though? I think I can just hedge this way, because it still gives me 9 red sources. Well, also 9 black sources. Yeah, I mean, homing lightning is double red, but having 9 is just fine for double red, so I am actually a-okay with that. Again, there is that argument to go here. We do have more red than black, but we also have a bunch of these double-colored spells where we want to reliably get our Spike Jester, our Augur Spree, our Hellhole Flailer online early. So we'll keep it on that hedged 8/8. And try to play some Battle Shapers in round 1. I'll see you then.